All right, so here we are with our last exercise for quads today. We're gonna do a leg press, 60 degree, feet close, lower on the pad, focus on quads, and it's gonna be one true working set, and it's what we call muscle rounds, adapted from Scott Stevenson. So it's gonna be is 6 sets of 6 to 8 reps with a 15-second break in between each micro set. So, it's a total of 36 to 48 total sets, 42 total reps within one true working set. So weight doesn't need to be crazy because you're just gonna get a ridiculous burn. All right, so we're gonna delve a little bit what's going on in 2016. As I said, in end of February, beginning of March, I jumped into Matt Jensen, and I kind of went to Matt with an open, clean slate. I said, I'm gonna let you decide what shows I should do, if I should compete this year or not. Matt was kind of leaning on the side of, let's take a year off. Some other people in my corner, they thought since I made the Olympia last year, it'd be stupid to take a complete year off. Even though I'm not a top competitor, you're still fresh on people's minds, don't step away. So marketing, I was like, you know what, let's compromise something. Let's shoot for maybe something in August. So I started getting ready. I did an off season, we started prep. The beginning of prep was right around end of May. I had some hiccups. I got really sick for a little bit, was on antibiotics for over 2 weeks, kind of screwed me up. So we were kind of hesitant on what was gonna go on. And all of a sudden the past 3 weeks, things have been great. My body dropped down really quick as far as conditioning wise, while my weight maintained. And I was shooting for Hong Kong. And then they came out with a list last couple days ago for Hong Kong. And this show is stacked, I saw it as a marketing experience, fly out there. China's, loves bodybuilding. At the time when I talked to Tony Doherty, there wasn't a lot of people committed, and it's not that I'm afraid to stand up next to these guys and compete against them, but it's more or less just being smart and sensible at this point in my career. To fly across the world and spend a shit ton of money to fight for 7th, maybe 6th place at absolute best, just wasn't really a wise choice as far as time taken away and money spent and things like that. So we're gonna slow things down a little bit and shoot for the Ferrigno, which is 16 weeks out from today. Conditioning wise, probably 3 weeks out from the show, I could step on stage, which puts me in a great position because now I can just work on fullness. I can work on my back a little more, I can add a little more density. I could probably step on stage probably about 4 or 5 pounds heavier than I would have if I competed, in 5 or 6 weeks. So I'm kind of excited for the game plan, push things back a little further than I wanted, but at least this gives me a jump on 2017 Olympia. If I can get some points at the Ferrigno, you still have 2 shows after that. You have India, and then you also have San Marino Pro in Italy. So if I can get a jump on points for the Olympia next year, step on stage a little earlier next year, and try to make a run for the 2017 Olympia, I think that's kind of the ultimate goal again this year. So no 2016 Olympia for me. I had my experience last year, but I got to better myself as an athlete. All right, so we just finished up the quad segment of legs. Now we're moving on to hamstrings. I'm gonna start our hamstrings with some seated leg curls. I'm gonna hit 2 warm-up sets to get to a working weight, and then I'm gonna do 1 working set. It's gonna be a rest pause. So it's gonna be 3 micro sets built in with 12 to 15 reps in there. So that's really gonna pre-fatigue these hamstrings before we move into a press type movement that focuses on hamstrings and adductors. All right, so I'm gonna talk about my Olympia experience last year. Every bodybuilder, no matter what level you are, has some ideology, some dreams of being on the Mr. Olympia stage. And I get to fulfill mine my rookie year, which was pretty fascinating. The journey into it was a bitch. Like I said, I did 7 shows to qualify, killed myself pretty much. Once I finally qualified, those last 3-4 weeks of prep were honestly the smoothest 3 or 4 weeks I ever had. I was just euphoric every single day. Realized that I'm stepping on stage with the greatest. Training with Sean Rowe every day, one of the best. Going into the show, such a great experience. Getting there, the athlete check-in wasn't really that intimidating. I think it was right before the press conference. I was sitting backstage, me, Branch, Phil, Brandon Curry, we're all talking about politics and stuff. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I'm fucking sitting here with the best bodybuilders in the world, just shooting the shit, talking about politics. This is absolutely a dream come true. the press conference, I think I did well, said what I needed to say, and then come showtime. So showtime was a little nerve-wracking. I'm a nervous person anyway. I get kind of worked up before I get on stage. So we go off our individual routines, and who's in front of me? But Rowe Winkler. So Rowe goes out, he's the crowd favorite. Fans are going nuts, place is erupting, rumbling, and then all of a sudden they call my name. Dead fucking silent. I heard crickets, and I know I heard boos. And you want to talk about almost shitting yourself. I thought about turning around and just getting backstage, walking off. So my 45-second routine at the beginning there, I was so nervous, shaking like crazy, couldn't hold my poses. And then once we went back out for call-outs, things kind of settled down. But I look back at it, and yeah, I didn't place top 16, but I brought a very respectable package. I came in condition. Some would say, one of the top conditioned athletes out there. But I look back and I look at pictures next to me and Rowe, who's an absolute freak. And he didn't make me look like that much of a little bitch. I certainly didn't beat him or compare to him, but I looked respectable against him. And that was honestly one of the biggest motivations going into this year, was I stood next to some of the best and I didn't get totally embarrassed, which was a win on my book. So that was huge motivation going to this year. And, only just want to get better from there. So the Olympia was such an amazing experience, and hopefully I can get back on stage sometime soon in my career.